Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today is Friday, September 19th. It is 6:27 right now. We got market opening up in about 3 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and mark up liquidity real quick and then we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. As you guys can see, I've added the volume indicator to the bottom of my chart here. I'm going to be trying something out with regard to the original MPS. Um, Looking to see those, pullbacks of weakness and then continuation in the direction of our bias and trend and momentum. So that's why you have the volume indicator down below. I typically don't use the volume indicator too much, but I'm going to see if it benefits us in a lot of ways to identify these retracement pullbacks and continuations in the direction of price. So I will keep that up for now, and we will kick off this session pretty shortly. Hey, Daniel, morning. Morning, Peter. Morning, Singh. Morning, everybody. Morning, Karen. Morning, Maria. Morning, Lila. All right, let me finish doing this real quick. So going over here to the 1 hour, 30 minute. Yeah, we had a big bullish push right here. Trump and Xi from China are supposed to speak at, I think, 7 o'clock today. So they're gonna have a telephone call. Obviously, Trump's gonna say something good. I could almost guarantee it. If you were to take a bet on what Trump says with regard to the telephone call with Xi, I'm pretty sure he's going to say it was a very productive call, the usual. So expect market to get pumped around 7 o'clock. I mean, it's getting pumped right now because everyone's expecting it to be bullish anyways. But if anything happens later, always expect continuation. So guys, looking at market structure over here, it looks pretty bullish. The momentum breakout for today is going to be a sell. If you guys are looking to take it, it's going to be a sell. The thing that I'd be careful about with taking a sell here is that everything's bullish, right? The 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour prices above the pivots. The trend meter is green, pivots are angling up. So that's indicating that we have a very, very strong bullish bias for today. If you guys want to take a sell here, I mean, be my guest, but take it at your own risk, right? Because everything here is very bullish. This doesn't mean price can't come down. I'm just saying, if it does come down, pay attention to the market volume and then see how price moves because it's likely going to correct back up. So momentum breakout for the day is going to be a sell, but it's going to be against all of the biases because everything here is pointing towards a buy right now. If you look over here at market structure again, very bullish. But like I said, this could push down at least 50 points for it to hit. And it looks like it already did right there before it swings back up. So almost at its full TP right there for the momentum breakout. Yeah, full TP right there. Nice little push to the downside. The breakout has been on fire lately, guys. If you guys have been following the momentum breakout, this thing has been hitting almost every day. There's maybe like 1 or 2 losses per week, but for the most part, it's pretty much been hitting. Most of you guys here have been taking it. So yeah, nice work. Jonathan actually skipped it for today, surprisingly. I thought you were going to take it, Jonathan. You're pretty resilient with your breakouts, but it's all good. I would have thought this would have been risky because everything is bullish, right? I wouldn't really want to take any sells here. If anything, I'm going to look for the turn back to the upside. So I'd look for, damn, look at this huge spike. It's a huge candle right there. Connection lost. And I got a connection lost. Usually when there's a connection lost, there's something up with market price or there's something going on with the market. Usually if I get a connection loss on InterTrader, there's usually something to be concerned with regard to the market. It was just one connection loss though, so nothing too crazy. If I get a lot of connection loss though, then if you guys been trading with me for a while, it usually indicates that something is going on behind the scenes that like a high volatility event is typically going to take place. Which I mean, obviously, this is a high volatility event. We have Trump and Xi speaking in about 30 minutes. So a lot of people over here are looking to speculate in the market. Nice. So ARK over here actually took the trade. Looks like ARK might have been the only one who took it, or maybe a few other people, but looks like Jonathan skipped it. He didn't want to go against the bullish bias. Smith also skipped it, but ARK took it. He passed another, or almost passed another. So nice work, ARK. ARK's been killing it. If you guys have seen ARK in the chat, under team profits over here. ARK and so there's like three big people here who have been killing it lately. Ryan's killed it with 900 for yesterday. ARK over here has been killing it with the breakout, and Jonathan as well. But yeah, I think it was safer to avoid the sells here. You can see here prices starting to correct back up. This is kind of expected. So I'll kind of explain what I'm looking for here with regard to the volume meter in a bit. So I'll try to give a quick explanation out of what I'm looking at. Right now, we currently have a sell momentum and prices below the pivots, right? So if I'm looking for a MPS entry over here, I'm basically looking for a confirmation of some weak bullish volume. So right here, you can see how we have a big green volume candle. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for a consecutive weak green volume candle. So if I see a green volume candle here, which is kind of weak, this isn't weak, but it looks, it's getting smaller. If I get a weak green one here, so basically two small green ones that are like in consecutive order, I'll be looking to catch the continuation back down. So I'll look for basically a weak retracement. And then once I get that weak retracement, I'm gonna look for the whole number, which is basically going to be somewhere right here, like at basically 560 or whatever price is, when it's retracing back. And I'll try to get that MPS entry from there. As you guys know, for the MPS, we try to get in at the whole numbers. That's kind of where I'm aiming for. And that's what I'll kind of look for as we continue on. So nice Rev over here also caught the breakout. Nice work, Rev. And Sam also, thanks for the confirmation that the September contracts are expiring today. This is the third Friday of September, so they are expiring today, like Sam mentioned. So if that's the case, you might see some bearish movement here because the September contract is expiring and the December contract is starting. So usually they converge. You got the September contract, which goes up. You got the December contract, which goes down. More of the volatility is on the December contract, so expect it to come down further. So we could get a correction back down. It looks like price over here got overly pumped pre-market, and then now it's came back down pretty heavily. Hey, Manny, morning. Elad said Trump posted it. Yeah, just wait for Trump. I mean, well, we don't have to wait for Trump, but if you are waiting for some sort of confirmation, Trump's going to say something in about, we'll say 30 minutes or so. His call is at 7 o'clock. The call's probably going to last, I don't know, 30 minutes maybe. So we'll say around like 7:30, he'll give some update, and I expect, some sort of bullish push to happen from there. Because Trump never says anything bad, right? He never says anything bad. So, he's going to favor it in whatever way that he sees fit for, the market. And that's kind of what I'm expecting here. So we're probably going to see a dump. You might see price kind of dump down a little further. And then Trump is speaking with Zai at 7 o'clock. The call is probably going to go on for 30 minutes to an hour. So somewhere between this period, I would expect some sort of bullish push. So if that's the case, I'm gonna clean up liquidity over here. I'm gonna clean up liquidity, and then I will look for possible bounce, right? Here, I'll mark up some support levels here. So I got a couple support levels here on the higher time frames. Let's see, where am I at? I got a support level right there. Support level right here. Price is currently bouncing off of support too. This is a higher support level. It's on the higher time frame. Well, not really the higher time frame, but I just have the 1 minute really, really stretched out. So we might get a bounce here, maybe possibly, but we'll just kind of follow it and see where price ends up going. We got some more support levels down there, so I'll keep following as price drops lower. Yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. Here, I'll just share the screen with you guys real quick. Or no, I'll leave it as is, and then we'll just keep following as it drops lower. I mean, I wouldn't chase this drop here, guys. I wouldn't chase the drop because eventually it's gonna have to bounce. I got a resistance up here. we have a really big imbalance right here. We have another imbalance right here. I'm not going to mark it up yet, but okay, so this is pretty much the market structure that I have marked up right now at the moment. Price pretty much cut through all of the support levels. Um, Here, I'll show you my clean chart real quick. Let me see if I can copy this over. Shit, it's all over. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at right here. Yeah, man, I got way too many tabs here. All right, so this is the market structure that I pretty much marked up for you guys right there. There you can see it's a little cleaner. So this is a market structure I marked up. Pretty much the support here pretty much got broken through all the support levels. And then we have the imbalance right here. See, the price pretty much came down, retested the imbalance, came down lower. We're now getting a strong rejection off the support level right here. Huge, huge support level right here, which price bounced off of. So we'll see here if price bounces off here and corrects back up, or price continues to drop lower. So I have this pretty much on a separate screen. You guys can't see this. I'm looking at this at all times so I can see market structure. And I'm pretty much marking it up right here cleanly. But this is where I'm getting these levels from, right? I'm not marking up random levels. I have my market structure here marked up in a clean chart. This is just market structure only. You can see over here, I named this structure because I just have market structure marked up. So this is kind of what I'm looking at right now. Um, Let me check the orb real quick. Thanks, Daniel, for reminding me. So I just wanted to show you guys what I was looking at right there. I gotta get like similar monitor screens because my main one over here is really big. This is kind of like a huge monitor in the middle. Every time I move my tabs over it, fuck, man, it resizes and it's super annoying because my trading view, like I can't see the window as big. All right, so let me go back over here to the orb. The orb over here looks like it played through right here below. Like I said earlier, guys, it's a little tricky how it came up, so I didn't actually take the orb yet. The orb is currently running right now, but because of that big drop, I didn't want to chase it down lower. And because of the overall trend over here, I didn't really want to take any sells because it's a bit overextended. If you guys are in the orb right now, the orb is currently running. I decided not to take it because of like what we just talked about, right? I don't want to fade the bullish move here. And this is really tricky because price is overextended at this point. Price is dumped from this point up here to down here. This is a 236 point drop. It's going to have to retrace at some point, and that's exactly what's happening right here. So this is why I decided not to take the orb personally, because I didn't want to go against my initial bias, right? I do think price here is going to correct back up, and that's exactly what's happening right now. There was also a bunch of support levels right here. This is why I wanted to show you guys the structure because I knew the orb was probably going to come up for a sell, and it was just it's just a bit of a mess. So I'm not in the orb right now. I don't know if anybody decided to take the orb, but the 2 minute over here didn't even fill. So like that's what Daniel mentioned. He said the 2 minute orb has not been filling lately, just blasting through. That's why I shifted to the 5 minute because you can see over here. So this is the 5 minute orb, but the 2 minute orb was right here. It broke through on this red candle, never retraced back up. So this here would have just been canceled, right? You just would have never filled a 2 minute orb. So good thing that we skipped this entry here because see how price is pulling back? This is what I did not want to get caught up in. I didn't want to get caught up in the fake out right here and pull back into the range. This doesn't necessarily need to hold up in the range. This can easily just come right back down further. But right now it is faking out into the range. So yeah, no orb for me today. The orb's been pretty not consistent lately, which is fine. So I actually like that the orb hasn't been consistent lately because this is just showing that in the future, the orb is going to be consistent again. The thing with strategies, if you guys have traded long enough, you've realized that your strategy is not going to work forever, right? The thing with the orb is I've been very careful because I've been getting caught up in a lot of fake outs for the past, I would say maybe 2 months now. The thing with the orb is that we've had the same problem before, right? If you look over here at my stats for the year, So these are my stats for the year. Let me just refresh it. Yeah, so these are my stats for the year to date. And you can see over here, like the orb stopped working for a while, right? It's not always going to be consistent. Like I took the orb over here, it's pretty good, and then it kind of flattened out right here around like March because we were in a choppy market. And then I was like kind of at break even for like maybe let's see, March, April, May, June, almost 4 months. So almost like 3 to 4 months, it was like break even. It was like win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. And then we had another string of wins right here. So the thing is, we've been kind of choppy right now from, let's see, mid-August, August 12th until now. This is 1 month of choppiness. So maybe in another month or two, the orb is going to come back and it's going to start to be more consistent. So just something to keep in mind, guys. What I would say is find a strategy that you like and stick to it, right? Don't change your strategies too often. Because the thing is, even though your strategy is currently not working, it'll eventually work. You just have to wait for the market to move in your edge. Right now, it's just we've been in a choppy market lately, right? If you guys have been trading with me for a while, this is kind of what we've been stuck in. A lot of bullish or not bullish, but a lot of volatility on open, and then it flattens out, and then we get into this huge range where price kind of just sits in the orb. Let's see how far this pulled back. So from right here, this pulled back about like 30 points, and then it's now sitting right here at the orb low. Let me go and see if there's any MPS V2s here that I could have looked at. So there was actually an MPS V2 which would have lined up over here. I mean, again, I wouldn't really be getting into entries right now at the moment because the volatility is it's kind of spotty. But looking at this right here, so this is why I included the volume on my chart. So there's a lower volume here and then an even lower one right here. So with that being the case, my pending order would have been chilling like right here at the 510. Let me see if this would have survived the pullback on that. Yeah. So this is the entry that I was actually looking for. So if you guys remember, we talked about the MPS V2, or not the MPS V2, the original MPS. This right here is about to hit full TP. Okay, so my analysis, this is what I was trying to look for today. This is the whole reason I added the volume indicator into the chart. So see right here, we had a sell momentum. And see how the trend shifted to the bottom side right here? The last step that I was looking for confirmation was I was looking for the volume to confirm it. So see how the volume over here, we had a green volume and it was at this level. This would have been the threshold for me. And then this volume right here would have been the confirmation. So as soon as I would have seen this right here, I would have put my pending order right here at the next whole number. So it'd be at 510, which is right here. And this is where I would have put my pending order for a sell to ride this down lower. So this is an example of a MPS, just the original MPS, not MPS V2, but momentum pullback scalp. We had momentum right here, price pushed down, the trend confirmed. We had the pullback on these green candles, and I confirmed with the volume down here that the volume was dying down on the retracement, and that's where my pending order would have been sitting. So we talked about this yesterday. I might be flipping, not really flipping. I'm going to be switching out my high-low break and retest for the original MPS. We applied the original MPS for I think about maybe 2 or 3 years, and it worked pretty well until the market got too volatile. Right now the market's pretty volatile, but now that I've included the third confirmation here for volume, we can kind of use it to our advantage. I'm only taking one entry per momentum though. So right now this sell momentum came up. The entry already came up right here. So I'm no longer looking for any sells at this moment. I'm going to look for price to flip back up now. Right. So now what I'm going to be looking for here is I'm looking for price here to flip back up. I'm looking for a buy signal to come up here. Once that buy signal comes up, I'm going to look for the trend to shift back up. And then once price shifts back up, I'm going to look for the volume here to confirm that the retracement is weak. And then I'm going to continue riding up further. Talon just said, wouldn't the second green candle after momentum also confirm volume? Yes, that is correct. But like you confirmed as well, the trend, right? Because the trend here was still bullish because it was above the pivots. When it came down here, this is where technically the entry for the MPS V2 would have came up right here. But because I'm looking for a better confirmation, with the volume, I wouldn't have entered right there. But yeah, technically the entry would have happened right here, right? Sell signal, the trend here still wouldn't have really been confirmed, right? We typically want the pivots to shift over. So this technically, if you didn't care to confirm the trend completely, it would have been right here, right? So the retracement right here, and then the next whole number would have been at the 70. So either way, if you took it early, it still would have hit 50 points right there. But I would have waited for the trend here to confirm, so I actually would have gotten in a little lower down here. Yeah, if you guys are not familiar with the strategy, if you guys are new, you guys are probably not familiar with the strategy. We used to apply the MPS, I would say maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. This was one of our main strategies. We also did it with with a smaller target. Our target was only 10 points. So it was a quick in and out. I'm going to be going for a bigger target now, about 50 points. So 50 or 40 points, somewhere around there. I think I'll keep it at 40 because I'd rather just keep it tight. But we'll here, let me see if this here would have played out with 20 points. No, I'll keep it at 50, 25 because the volume here is pretty high. You can see over here from the ATR, it's currently at 32. So I think a 50, 25 would make more sense. All right, so we got price flipping back up right now. Let's see, Talanji said, yeah, that's good to look out for with the RSI. Another thing too, yeah, if you want to use the RSI, that's another good confluence because you can look for price to be overbought or oversold. You just look for it to be above the 50 or below the 50. All right, so we have let me clean this up, or I'll just leave this down here right now. I think the support levels are okay to be left alone. All right, let's see, I could probably clean it up a little bit. There we go. So we have a imbalance right here to the upside. Not balance, imbalance. You have another imbalance right here. So we got two imbalances. All right, so price is pushing up right here. It's attempting to push up to this imbalance point. Um, this is setting up for an MPS. Ark is asking if we missed a high-low scalp. Yeah, this is a high-low break and retest right here. I wouldn't have taken it because it's against the trend, but yes, this is a high-low break and retest right here. Price broke and closed past this lower high, retested on this candle, and this would have been a push to the upside. So yeah, nice work on catching that. All right, I'm looking for the MPS right now. The original MPS, not a V2, but an MPS, just regular. So I'm looking for price here to push back up. I'm going to look for the price to weaken on retracement. And then I'll try to catch it on the continuation back up higher. Target price point right here is going to be opening price, of course. If price pushes up any higher, we're going to look for it to push up to the next level over here, which is the New York high from yesterday. So a couple of things that I'm paying attention to here, guys, is the volume. We already have bullish momentum. We have bullish trend. We have bullish market structure. Everything here looks pretty nice for a bullish push to the upside. The main thing that I'll be looking for here is going to be the retracement. So I'm looking for price to push up, retrace, continuation up higher. With that retracement, I'm looking at the volume bar down here to see how price starts to weaken. So I want sellers to come in, but I want them to weaken. So right now, again, I'm looking for the volume here to turn red. Basically, once we have a red candle, we can look at that volume. And I will preset my limit order over here as well. Okay, perfect. So pretty much have this right here. Turn on my levels just so I have an idea. I know it's a little messy, but just want to see where the levels are at right now. I guess I don't really need it. So, all right, I'm looking at the volume here. I need to have a red volume come up, basically a red candle. And it's got to be weaker than this volume here. So no volume there yet. It's a green candle. I'm looking for a red one to come up. All right, so I'm looking at the volume right here. I need this volume to be smaller than this one, basically. Smaller than this one, I'll be looking to get in the next whole number. I'm going to try to keep an eye out for this. So if this does drop down a little bit, it'll be at the 590, I think. 46, 590. Let's see. 46, 590 or 46, 580. All right, we're currently at the sessions. It's gonna be a little tricky here because we're at the sessions. You guys can see the volume here starting to slow down a bit. So I'm looking at the volume again. The volume here drops lower. I think the entry would happen around like 46. I actually don't really want to take any trades here at this session because you can see here how price may be easily manipulated. All right, I'm gonna step away for 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab some water. All right, guys, I'm back. Looks like the volume here is possibly setting up. Getting some manipulation right here off the session. So the entry would probably happen. Yeah, the volume here in general is just starting to flatten out. We have a pending sell signal here too. All right. With the pending sell signal there, I might have to be a little more cautious with taking sells or taking buys here, actually. Yeah, looks like the volume in general here is kind of flattened out. Not just for, buys, but just in general. All right, well, We'll see what happens here. We have a pending sell signal. The pending sell signal right there. This can easily flip the other way. So basically, we had one setup here of like exactly for what I'm looking for. So if you guys want to look back at an example, you can just go back to the previous candle over here. We had a sell signal, price came down a little bit. It retraced on these green candles right here. We had a lower push in volume for retracement, and then I looked for the continuation back down. I'm looking at the same thing here. So we have a buy signal, prices shifted to an upwards trend. We have a volume bar over here with this red one, which is set like pretty much at this level. So I'm looking for a smaller red volume. That's going to indicate that the volume here is kind of dying out for a push to the downside, and I'm looking for a correction back up higher. With that being the case, the entry, our closest entry here is going to be around like 46,580. Okay, 46,580. Only problem is we have a sell signal here. This is what I don't really like because if it flips the other way, then I'm going to look for an entry to the other side. The volume here has kind of died out already a bit already, so I'm not looking to take the swing back up. I'm now looking for the sell signal here to close. And then once this here closes, I'm looking for volume to push the other way. So basically the same setup that I was looking at over here, I'm now looking for this way. So we'll see. The thing with this here too is that this can also help with sweeps. If you guys are looking to take sweeps, so for example, we had a support level right here. When price came down to this point, you can see how the volume was starting to flatten out a little bit. Um, and I'll mark up sweep levels here. So I'm just kind of using volume here to my advantage to look for the price to basically turn. All right, we don't have any other news events for today. Let's see. There's no other news events aside from Trump speaking with Xi at 7 o'clock. He's about to speak with him right now, actually. Let's see. Sam said two sweeps, NQ 100 points, YM sell for 80 points, 5-minute orb. YM took a stop and he's looking for equal lows. Okay, nice work, Sam, on those trades right there so far. We do have a sell signal here now. I'm looking for that push that I was just talking about. We have price over here. We tested the imbalance basically twice. So we had the first test over here, second retest right here, and price is now coming down lower. So we have some nice confluences to the downside for a sell. Looking over here at our overall trend. Overall trend is a little mixed. 1 minute's currently bearish, 5-minute is neutral, 15-minute is neutral, 30-minute is neutral, 5-minute or 4 hour is bullish, and the 1 hour here is bullish. So higher time frames are still bullish, lower time frames are shifting to bearish trend. Okay, so we got this right here. I've marked this up at 7 o'clock because this is when Trump is speaking with Xi. I think they're going to be on a phone call right now, probably for the next 3 minutes. There we go. So there's no breaking news, but this is basically what's happening right now. Trump is on call with Xi, discussing the TikTok deal. So Trump pretty much keeps pushing back the deadline. If they don't come to an agreement, he's probably going to push the deadline back again. Oh, actually, the call already happened. So 8 a.m. Eastern. So they've already been talking, actually. There's no update, so we'll kind of keep an eye out for breaking news with regard to Trump and Xi speaking. All right, so let me just clean this up a little bit. Again, we're looking for price here to retrace back up. So we have a sell signal right here. This could be a possible retracement. I'm gonna look for volume here to die down a little bit. We don't have that yet, but we are looking for volume here to kind of slow down. So if you guys are just joining in, the breakout for today hit full TP right there. This is the momentum breakout. Pretty much dropped down pretty far, almost 200 points. So it dropped down 170 points for the momentum breakout. Here's the orb. We didn't take the orb here because it went against the bias, the bullish bias, which is very strong. And now we have a continuation to the downside. So we have another imbalance here. This imbalance is about to be mitigated. So if this closes below, which it just did, this bullish imbalance is now mitigated. And we have a new bearish imbalance, which is right here. This imbalance pretty much overlaps with the old one. All right, so we have an imbalance right here, price broke and retest. Another imbalance right here, price broke, sort of retested, not yet, but sort of. And we now have continuation. All right, so again, guys, I'm looking for the retracement here. This is for a momentum pullback scalp. We have momentum right here. We have bearish trend. I'm looking for a green candle here to come up to establish the initial volume. Once the initial volume there is established, I'm looking for another green. Okay, perfect. So we have that right there. We have the volume on this green candle. So basically, the baseline right now for the volume is going to be at this level. So what I'm looking for is another weak volume so that I can get possible opportunity here for entry. All right, so I'm watching the volume right here. It's still pretty weak. So if that's the case, entry might happen, I'll say around like 46,530, 46,530 for a sell. Watching the volume down below, 46,530 is probably going to be the setup. I don't think I'm going to get up at 20. All right.
Order submitted.
So it looks like I got into the position right
Order
there.
filled.
Which chart am I on? Okay, so it is filled right here at 45. Let me make sure the number's right. 30.
Order filled.
All right. So it looks like I'm looking for this to come back down further. It might come up and retest the imbalance, or it might just come down further from where it's currently at. So I'm currently in profit right now, right there. Again, I'm looking for this to come down further from here. I'll keep following it. If I need to move my stop loss and profit, I'll watch it. If I do get a swing, then I'll probably put it there. We have a pending buy signal here, so I don't really like that. If we get a pending buy signal, you're supposed to close out of this early. If you guys remember the MPS entry. So if we do get a buy signal here, which closes, I'm probably going to close it for a small loss, and then I'll look for a continuation move in the other direction. But I'm hoping we don't get that buy signal. It just drops further from here. The volume is kind of flattening out, so you can see it's starting to slow down a bit. But we'll see here if continues to drop. So you got price coming down right there, slightly in profit. It's looking good so far. It's just the volume here is kind of, well, the volatility in general is just flattening out. It's already 7 o'clock, so the volume here tends to die out at 7 o'clock. But this here is an example of MPS V2. So I think the 50 target might be a little too far out. We'll see. I mean, either way, I'm following it. So again, if we get a buy signal here and it closes, I'm gonna have to close this position out for a small loss. But if it doesn't, I'm gonna watch it as it comes down further. What we might get here is a retest of the structure. So we have a support level here or a previous support. Let's see if this might even just stop me out right here. Let's see. I don't know why it does that. I think it might stop. I'm still in the position right now, but it might stop me out right here. Yeah, unfortunately, I got stopped out on that position. So stop out right here on
Stop
this
fill.
MPS V2. The volume here just wasn't very consistent. We had that pending buy signal there. So either way, if this did close with the buy signal, I would have closed it out. I'll look for another opportunity here for entry, but the pattern that I was looking for at this point was push down, retracement, continuation lower. Looks like we're still in this choppy market, unfortunately, guys. So Um, I'm trying to make some adjustments to adapt with this choppy market, but unfortunately, we're just still stuck in this chop. If you look over here, so let me just show you guys on the orb chart. So what I was hoping for here was continuation down lower and drop below the range, but it looks like we're still stuck within this middle area here. It's all right. Took a small loss on that. I'm only trading half of my accounts. Like I showed you earlier, I've only been able to trade half of my accounts because I'm having some issues with Apex right now. I was trading two different accounts with them, and now they basically took away half of my accounts because I wasn't supposed to be trading two separate accounts. Anyways, we'll keep looking for another opportunity here. This here was basically half loss. So basically a 0.5 R. I'm going to be looking for another one here because if I do win the next trade, I'll be recouping this loss and then making profit on top of it. So I'll look for a price here to possibly push up. If we do get a push up to the upside, I'll look for the same pattern, but to the upside. So we got a buy signal right here. We got a buy signal, prices pushing up. I'm going to be looking at the volume down here below. See, the volume here just isn't very consistent. You can see, let's look at the volume bars down here. So what I'm really looking for here is I'm looking for the volume to basically show a retracement and then continuation. So see how the volume over here was bearish, and you see how the volume over here started to go down a little bit. It was like a green volume bar right here, and then it lowered even lower. So I was expecting this to correct back down. Now I'm looking for the opposite direction. We have a bullish momentum here. I'm looking for price to push up. And then as it pulls back down, I'm looking for it to confirm weaker volume and then continuation in that direction. All right. So we got this right here again. If this is the case, the volume would be at, or the entry would be at the 550. The thing is, I don't want to get caught in another chop. So I was hoping this here would push up a little further, retrace, and then push up higher from there. The problem with this here is that there's going to be a setup, but it's not going to be an MPS because we need price to be above this momentum right here. That's too close. Let's see where the entry would be, 550. Yeah, it's too close. So this here wouldn't be an entry to be taken. The buys have to happen above this momentum, so basically above this line right here. And then vice versa for sells, they have to be below this momentum right here. Same with what happened earlier. So earlier we had a sell momentum over here, which came up, and this over here was at below this momentum. So this right here is just chop right now. There's no entry here at the moment. I need price to push above the momentum here, retrace, and push up higher from there. All right, let's see. Yeah, exactly. Sing said chop, 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 caught the move right there. Okay, nice work, Sing. Glenn said this month, man, I know. This has been a pretty it's been a pretty choppy month for it. So last month was pretty choppy, but it was more of a range. Like we had more of a bigger back and forth. Like we'd have chop, but price would chop, the entire range. This month has been a lot more of a closer chop. So see how this has kind of been like just getting flattened out right here down the middle. This is why I try to get my entry like before 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock happened right here. And yeah, we could have had some pretty good entries over here as price continued to move in this direction or even this direction up. But the other direction here, once it hits 7 o'clock, it's just a lot of choppiness. We start to get this squeeze type of move, right? Which is not really what we want because it makes it impossible for us to take these directional entries. So I'll mark up the example over here if you guys want to go back and review this one. This was actually a good example from earlier. So retracement right there, and she was at the 510. So this was the initial move of like what I was trying to take. Basically the same setup over here for the sell. This is the setup right here. So I'm trying to take it right here for a buy, but you guys can see here these candles are really small. I don't really want to take it if the volume's too low like this. And then we're starting to get a lot of momentum back and forth. Yeah, Singh said waiting to see if there's anything else left. Otherwise, it's weekend time. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking for the volume here to pick up. If it doesn't pick up, I'm with you on that. Might have to just take this as a negative half R. So depending on what your guys' risk is, I'm still taking half risk per trade. So basically, for me to have one full loss, I have to have two back-to-back losses. Right now, I have one half loss because of this one. The next one, so for example, if I get a buy entry here and it hits, then I'm going to recoup it because it's 2 to 1, and then I will be looking for profit on top of it. But you guys can see here, these candles are extremely small. There's really no reason to be looking for anything here at the moment. It's retesting the imbalance. There's actually two imbalances here that are right, like literally right next to each other. We have this upper imbalance and then we have this lower imbalance, which is right there. The volume here is really, really small though. Yeah, the volume here is pretty low. Let's see. Sam said for him, it's been an amazing month. I believe in consistency is the key. Everyone just taking breakout or just two orbs or just four orb or just MPSV2 is profitable. It's a mix of strategy causing issues. Yeah, I agree with you, Sam. I mean, I'm still sticking to my consistency too. I'm still sticking to the directional continuations and the breakout. The problem is the breakouts haven't really been coming up, especially for the orb. Orb just hasn't been coming up at all. Even for the 5 minute here. Well, the 5 minute did come up, but it was very, very extended out. Let's see. So the orb over here came up for the 5, broken close below this level, retested right here. See, the thing is the 2040 would have hit. The 2040 would have worked out, or maybe it might have not, because I don't know how this here played out. Actually, the 2040 would have stopped out too. The 5 minute orb here would have not worked out. The 2 minute orb here also would have never filled. So let me just change this real quick. So this right here would be the 2 minute orb. The 2 minute orb actually would have never filled because it would have hit 40 already beforehand. Yeah, it's just an inconsistent month with regard to market volatility and structure. Um, I mean, price here is kind of just, so it's bouncing between the imbalance right now. There's an upper imbalance and a lower imbalance. Price is just going back and forth between these two levels. Yeah, Juicy can go any way as it's continuing to squeeze here. I'm still looking for the continuation up. So I'm looking for this here to push up higher. I just need to have, like I said earlier, some confirmation. So I'm looking for one more trade today, guys. I'm hoping I can get one more trade. If I can get that one trade in, it's going to recoup my loss from this one right here. Since I'm doing the 1 to 2. My overall bias here is still very bullish. You can see from the market structure, the bias here is still looking pretty good. If we could get it. I mean, right now we're not really getting it, but if we can get it, yes, possibly. Either way, if I would have taken the buy right here, this still would have stopped me out for this one. All right, so we got price over here. It's now pushing up higher. The volume here is starting to slow down for the sells. So we had volume right here, which is the baseline, got lower, and then this one right here, possibly lower. If this is the case, then the entry would happen around 46,560, it looks like. 46,560 for a buy entry. No, so the volume over here lined up exactly with this one. Like I said earlier, I need to see the volume start to flatten out, or not flatten out, but get lower. These here are on the same level, so it doesn't meet my criteria right there. All right, so let's see. We get another retracement right here. The only thing that I'm worried about is the chop, right? I think the chop here is probably the worst because I don't want price to go sideways here, right? I want it to go down, fill my order, and then come right back up. I don't want it to go sideways because if that's the case, it's going to be the same situation as this right here. It might go sideways, and then when it breaks out of this chop, it can really break out to the upside or it can break out to the downside. But yeah, we've been in this middle chop right here for about a good while now. All right, so it's starting to push up. I mean, it's kind of doing what I was expecting. So let me see. I don't think this here would have ever filled at the 60 anyways. Yeah. So it wouldn't have mattered. Even if we had a penny order right here, it wouldn't have filled. Because price retrace to this point, my entry would have happened right here at the 45,560. Price never came back down to fill it. So I'll keep following it here. There's nothing to take here at the moment. This could be a possible high-low break and retest, guys, if anybody's looking to take that there. Possible high-low break and retest, same type of strategy. It's just different entry point. So this right here is a high-low break and retest to the upside. Not in this position here. Because we are still stuck in this chop. Yeah, if you guys do want to take this, this is a high-low break and retest to the upside. Ideally, I do expect this here to push up. It's just, like I said earlier, I don't like this chop here. Price has been chopping within this middle area for a while. It's back and forth, back and forth. I mean, still chopping as we speak. I'll keep following it to see if there's going to be a later entry to maybe get into. Let's see, Ross is asking, lost earlier, did you see the V1 in the other direction? Let's see. Yeah, you were talking about this one right here, right? The V1. No, I wasn't looking at that there. Because for the price action here, I mean, like, here, let me go back to that entry and just replay it to here. So the price action here looked good for a sell. it looked like it was going to flow back down. So we had the drop right here, retracement, and it looked like it was going to come back down or retest this support level. So for this V1 over here, if the volume was higher, then I would have been a little more inclined to follow through with it, right? Because if you look over here, this is another thing too. If you want to use volume for those V1s, Ross, we have a V1 right here too, right? So V1, and see how the volume here increases? It was a small volume for the basically the reversal, and the confirmation on this one over here was a bigger volume bar. So this right here actually would have been a nice entry for a sell to follow through with. This one over here, we had the V1, but the volume was actually lower. So I was looking at volume. I didn't look at the V1 specifically, but I saw the volume here was dying out for a push to the upside. And because it slowed down a little bit, I was like, okay, this is probably going to continue dropping back down. So that's where my analysis was. Everything here was kind of lined up. So like for my loss here, I would consider this a fair loss because we did have a bearish trend. We had some bearish market structure. The volume here was dying down. We had bearish momentum. So everything here pretty much lined up. So with my loss over here, I would consider it, what we call a fair loss. But no, I wasn't looking at the V1 there. I'm kind of curious now because now that you've mentioned that. So looking at this over here, same thing, right? We have a V1 and the volume over here actually increases. So we got a V1 right there and then an increase in volume. So if that being the case, this here would have been a decent buy entry, it looks like. All right, so looking over here at the high-low break and retest, guys, it's still running. Like I said before, the volume here is pretty flat. We don't like trading in the low volume like this because you end up holding on to the position for too long. This one over here, this hit my stop pretty quick. That was fine because it did, for me personally, I like it when it hits right away within the first couple minutes. This one over here I mean, it looks like it's probably gonna go sideways for a bit. Actually, let me see this real quick. So this over here is, I mean, it wasn't very strong, but this looks like it could have been a setup for a momentum pullback scalp. So we had the bullish momentum, bearish volume right here, and this one over here is actually lower. So what I'm looking at is from this volume to this one, kind of flattened out a little bit. So with it flattening out right there, the entry would have happened at the 70. It actually wouldn't have filled yet. So we have two entries here kind of lined up with each other. There's another one down here, which would be for the MPS. See, here's a problem. Like, as much as I'd like to get in right here, I don't really want to fade the current trade. Because if I do get in here for the 570, I'll watch it. But if I get in for the 570, I'm anticipating price here to go into drawdown before it swings back up. So I'll continue following it here and I'll kind of see where it ends up going. But I'm not going to fade the previous entry, meaning like going against it, right? I mean, it looks like price here is still stuck in the chop. So a lot of these directional moves they're not really going to be very valid. But yeah, basically my entry right there would be for the MPS V2. Actually, no, I take that back. There's a sell signal here. So because the sell signal here has came up, there's no MPS V2s to the upside, or there's no momentum pullback scalps. So again, this is another good reason why I skipped this trade here. See how price is coming back down? This thing didn't really push up at all. Man, this market sucks. It's super choppy. So like we don't even have a direction here. As much as I want to take a trade in a directional area, there's just no direction. If anything, I might just start looking for some sweeps here. So there's a possible sweep area right here. Okay, that's what I'm going to look for. There's a possible sweep right here at 46,544. Again, I would still use the same analysis here. I would look at the volume down below. So I look for price to come down, get to the sweep area. If the volume here starts to slow down a bit, which it currently is, then you could possibly anticipate a sweep to happen at this 46,544. I probably would drop it down a little lower to 46,540, just to be at the whole number, and then ride this back up higher. So currently right now, here's the volume. The volume isn't getting lower, it's getting higher. So we have this volume right here with the sell signal. This here is higher. And this one right here is we'll just kind of see where it's at. Yeah, Sam said same like yesterday, trapped and sweep both sides. Yeah, that's literally what happened here. It's a trap and then it's gonna sweep both sides. If anything, I might have to just revert to these sweep entries because a lot of these directional moves are just not happening. There might be, so we might have to have a cutoff for our directional moves, guys. I think 7 o'clock is gonna be the cutoff for directional moves. And then after that, it's just gonna be sweeps. Because I mean, obviously you can see here the directional moves are hitting like early in the session. So like 6:30 to 7 right here, the directional moves played out perfect. But as we have hit 7 o'clock, it just becomes a choppy market. It just goes back and forth, back and forth. All right, so we got price coming back down lower. Price hasn't really gone anywhere though. If you look at this closely, it's just been chopping back and forth between the zone. So let me just delete this middle imbalance. That middle imbalance was mitigated. We have price going back and forth between this imbalance right here and this one down here. Possible sweep right here. Like I said before, you're gonna look for volume here to kind of die out a little bit. Hasn't died out yet. It's actually pretty high still for a sell, so I'd look for the volume here to slow down, and then once it slows down, possible sweep off this here. I'll be at 46,540. I would try to get in from the whole number, not from the liquidity. All right, so I'm gonna watch it here. I might try to get in from the sweep. I haven't really taken very many sweeps lately because I just don't like sweeps as much, but from what I'm seeing here, it looks good. 46,540, basically a sweep off this imbalance. Possibly a fake out, like mitigate below it, fake out, swing right back up. I'm looking at the volume though, so this is a key thing. Like this is my key criteria here. Like I need to see the volume slow down. It hasn't slowed down yet. See how this volume is actually, it's rejecting off it, but the volume bars are higher. So I'm looking for a downward trend of volume here. I want this to get slower and slower and slower. It's actually not getting slower, it's getting higher. Yeah, I'm not going to take this here for a sweep. If you guys want to take it as a sweep, I mean, you can, but I'm not going to take it because the volume here still shows that the sellers are still strong. They're not weakening yet. I mean, if anything, this could be a MPS back to the downside again, right? So this, although I got caught in the fake out right here, this could actually be a continuation to the downside. Okay, so with that being said, this imbalance here has been mitigated. That imbalance was pretty much mitigated. There's a support level right here. Let me just mark it up and clean it up a little bit. The support level is from this higher low. To break and retest off that support level. Oh, man, this market is so choppy. So I'm looking over here. I was hoping the volume here was going to close down lower. If this closed down with a smaller volume, I would have entered for a MPS right there, but it was higher than this one, right? So I'm basing it off this volume right here. This volume was low. I was hoping this one here was going to be lower, but it wasn't. It was actually higher. So what I can see right here is possible fake out. Damn, that sweep played out perfect too. Look at the sweep here that I marked up, guys. That was exactly what I was looking for to happen here, and it did, but it didn't meet my criteria. So there goes the sweep. The sweep was right here off this higher low. Price came down below it. I was going to get in at the whole number at the 54, 540. But the volume here just didn't tell me that the volume was dying out. Man, this market is pissing me off, kind of. My analysis here. So this is what I was looking for. This is literally what I was waiting for to happen. The thing is, the volume didn't indicate that the sellers were basically weakening, right? It shows that the sellers here were getting stronger. So it was weak. It was right here, the baseline. And this right here it showed that the sellers were getting stronger. I was looking for a smaller volume to line up, but it's okay. I'm still following my analysis, so I'm glad that my analysis here played through at that sweep, but the volume confirmation just didn't line up with what I was looking for. So it looks like price here is still in the chop. If you guys are not familiar with the chop is happening right here down the middle. Yeah, Sam said he missed it too. He's just being cautious. Same here. You know, if my like I have an initial analysis. So like whenever I see an entry come up, I have an idea of like where I'm expecting price to bounce from. But if I don't have the confirmation with volume especially, then I'm just not going to take it. I'm glad the analysis did play through though. Let's see. PC said that volume indicator shows very vague data. I would stay away. Yeah, I mean it's just as a confluence. It's not going to be the deciding factor for me, PC. I already have an idea of like where I'm looking to take entry. It's just a confluence. So it's not really a big, it's not going to make or break a trade. It's really just going to show me if like the volume here is starting to slow down. Because the thing is, I already have an idea of what's going to happen, right? If I have momentum here, I'm expecting the pattern to play through. I just would like to see if the volume here starts to slow down a bit. This is why I typically don't use this volume indicator, but I'm just using it as like a final confluence for the setup. Because either way, you know, the entry would still set up. Like if I'm looking for an MPS, the entry would still set up here. So for example, the sell signal came up, price came down, retraced. Either way, this trade would have lost regardless. The volume just gave me better entry. Because if this here retraced up, the entry would have actually happened at 46,520. And if I would have entered lower, I still would have lost. This actually gave me better entry because I was waiting for the confirmation of volume to show a slowdown. And then right here, it got in a little higher, although it did lose, but it gave me a better entry point. Ah, man, this sucks, huh, Sam? This here would have been a really nice entry. This would have recouped my loss here and I would have doubled up my profit basically, but it's all good. I will continue to possibly look for some sweeps here. Possible. I'm just glad the analysis played through. So the analysis played through. It did pretty much what we were expecting. I'll try to find another sweep here if possible. I don't know if we'll get one. It's getting closer to 8 o'clock. I guess we could hope for a better market next week. We've been hoping for a better market for about 2 months now. I don't know how much more hoping we can do. But yeah, you guys can see here. So initially, let's just go over the analysis for today's market structure and basically how the market moved today. We had a big bullish push right here on open. Then it retraced up a little bit and then it went into this chop at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock right here is where I have this line marked up. This has been kind of it's been the recurring theme. This is kind of what's been happening every day for the past 2 months now, which is it's really frustrating because the thing is like we either miss the entry before 7, the breakout just doesn't come up, or we try to get the continuation later and there's no continuation because it just does this chop here between 7 and 8. So it's just been a little bit of a frustrating, I guess, couple months now, because we haven't really had consistency with market direction. Let's go back over here to the orb. Yeah, so here, if you guys want to just have an idea of like the market direction, you can always just mark up the orb. So if you ever mark up the orb on the chart, you can kind of see if price is stuck within the orb range, this shows you that the market isn't going anywhere, right? Because typically in a regular market, you want to see price, or you don't want to see price, but you definitely see price break out of the orb and continue lower, right? Or it doesn't have to break below, it can break above and continue up higher. The thing is, if price here stays within the orb range, this shows you that price is not going anywhere, right? It's literally going nowhere. It's going down the middle right here. So yesterday was actually a little better. So let me go back to yesterday's market. So see how price broke out of the orb right here from yesterday's? Now this is what you like to see typically. I mean, it was choppy for quite a bit. And then after 7 o'clock, it finally broke out, and then we saw the continuation of higher, right? This is typically like what you like to see here. But if you look back to previous days, I mean, price has kind of been within the orb very consistently. So over here on Wednesday, price broke out of the orb and it stayed above. That was actually another good kind of not really directional, but outside the orb day. You can see over here on Tuesday, price was within the orb for a while. It eventually broke out of it and then stayed below. Today's actually a lot more choppier than previous days. And then right here on Monday, this is like a clear example of like market range, market chop. This is kind of similar to what's happening today, right? Just chopping down the middle right there. But today's actually worse with regard to the chop because it's not testing the orb highs or lows. It's just sitting at the midline right here down the middle. So in a situation, this is considered like a horrible market with regard to directional move because there is no directional move, right? Price is right here down the middle. This is why it's been really tough on us because we trade directional strategies, right? We try to catch the continuations, we try to catch the pushes in one direction or the other. Problem is there's no push in a direction. It's kind of just sitting here down the middle. So looking at the sweep here, this would be stressing me out right now if I was still in this position because this thing's supposed to hit right away. This is why I'm like torn between using the 40 and the 50 because if I did the 40 would have hit, right? The 50 here is a little far out. I think after 7 o'clock, we might have to use a tighter TP stop loss or make sure to move your stop loss and profit as price moves along. Otherwise, you're gonna get caught in this back and forth. Let's see, Sam said no FOMO, bro. You have 1 to 2 RR strategy, just avoid shit market. Yeah, 100%. That's why like for me right now, the thing is it didn't look like a shit market this morning, right? Like the initial first move here hit. So I was like, okay, this is great. We're having some directional move finally today. Price is going to continue to drop lower, or it's going to correct back up. So earlier in the session right here, my first analysis was okay, price is either going to keep dropping down lower. And then when price flipped the other way, I was like, okay, we're getting a nice correction and we're probably going to get back to open and push back up, right? That wasn't the case here. Right here, price, it came down, it retraced up maybe to the halfway mark, and then it just went sideways. Price actually never returned to the opening price, blue line right here. That was our initial target, right? So I was like, okay, price is probably gonna come up to this opening price and then maybe test the New York high, which it never did. And now we are still just going sideways. Man, so maybe it was a good idea I didn't take the sweep there. Maybe it was good we didn't, Sam. I mean, you probably would have hit because your targets are a lot tighter, but the 50 points here is a little too far out. Maybe we might have to adjust this back to 40, at least after 7 o'clock, because the 50 right there didn't get hit. All right, so again, we are looking for the same thing here that we were looking at earlier, right? I'm looking for an MPS to basically come up right here. We have a sell signal. We have price coming down. I'm again going to look at the volume. I'm gonna look at the volume here to see if it will play through. So again, guys, I'm looking for a sell entry here. Come down, possible retracement, continuation down lower from there. Let's see, Sam said he traded MQ today. Saw weird candle spikes. Let's take a look at MQ real quick. Let's make it quick. Yeah, NQ as well. So NQ here is actually really choppy as well. Not very much of a directional push here. Price kind of just chopping all over the place. Let's go back to YM. All right, so I'm just gonna go back and kind of review at the things that I've saw for today for the most part. It looks like today, I mean, either way, it looks like I would have taken a loss here regardless. I know I took a loss right here on this trade, but just going back to the orb entry, you know what? Now that I'm looking back at the orb entry, I'm like thinking if like the 2040 still would have been better. Because if I was looking at this from the 2040, the trade actually would have been canceled because this would have hit 40 before it would have hit. I don't know. I'll have to do some more testing. Um, Maybe I'll go back to my original setup, but the problem with this here is that the volatility is so high that I think all variations to the orb right now, they're just not going to work. Even if we're doing a 2 minute, I don't think it makes a big difference if you're going between 2 and 5 minute. Long term, it's probably going to make a positive impact. But right now, with this type of market that we're currently in, I'm just trying to reanalyze the orb to see if there's anything that we can do differently that would help us with our entry. The problem here is that it doesn't matter what you do with the orb. It's like the orb is just not working at all in general. It doesn't matter what time frame you're trading it on. It doesn't matter what your TP stop loss is. Like for example, if your stop loss here was pretty wide for this orb here, you still would have lost regardless, right? Because price pulled up to the midline. Um, like there's some people who even trade from the midline, right? They'll catch the retest right here, and their stop loss will be at the midline, and they'll try to go for a 1 to 2. So regardless of the fact, if you were taking the orb here, orb just would have lost flat out. I didn't take the orb here, so I had an opportunity for another trade to take, right? So either way, if I would have eaten the loss here, it would have covered this loss here. If I would have eaten the loss here, it would have covered the loss there. The only other thing that I can kind of think of here that may be useful and that might be, let's see, there's an MPS V2 that came up here. It wouldn't have filled though. So we had a sell signal here, price retraced on the screen candle. We had a downwards trend of volume. Price would have retraced up right here. Entry would have happened at the 40. So because price reached the 40 right here, there still would have been an entry at this point because it actually never came up to fill. Yeah, so still no entry there. See, let me just reanalyze this and we'll look back at our other strategies. So there's a lot of other strategies here that we've applied in the past, guys. A lot of people have asked if I can review it. So one of the other main strategies, and I'll put a list right here. Most popular strategies over the years, right? So we have momentum scalp, we have pivot scalp, we have high-low scalp, we have MPS. I'm trying to think what else is there. MPS V2. I mean, there's so many strategies here that I can put up. I'm trying to think of that strategy that CJ is actually not even here today. I think CJ took the day off. Um, Man, I'm trying to think. There was actually a sideways strategy that we used to apply. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It would have played out a couple times. Um, I can't remember the name of it, but I see the entry right here. It's basically where you have a momentum signal that breaks past pivots 1 and 2. Yeah, like this one here. I forget what it's called. But here's a list of like sort of the main strategies that, we've applied over the years. Momentum scalp. Momentum scalp and pivot scalp pretty much line up together. So this right here would have been a momentum scalp or pivot scalp for the sell based off the momentum. Um, this right here would be a high-low scalp. This would be an MPS. I mean, I'm still looking for my MPS here. The problem is we just have too many strategies, so I can't look at all of them at once. Like I have to focus on just maybe one or two because a lot of these entries are coming up. It's the problem is being able to identify, not making a mistake because there's different criteria for each strategy. I'm still looking for that MPS, which I mean technically came up already. So if I was to disregard the volume right here, the MPS would have happened right here actually at this green candle. So price retraced up right there. The entry would have happened at the 40. And that they would have played through. Damn. Maybe volume here shouldn't be, maybe we're overcomplicating with the volume here. Maybe we don't have to look at it. Because this right here would have been the MPS. So let me just give you guys analysis here. I'll just turn the volume off real quick. I do agree with PC though. Like PC said that the volume indicator is not very it's not very consistent. It's pretty vague. That's why I typically didn't use it very much. I just thought it might be okay to our advantage, but it just didn't really it actually didn't help at all. It actually kind of made things a little more complicated. So I'm looking over here to see if there's anything else. Yeah, there's like nothing else which came up here. I'm still debating whether I want to swap out the high-low break and retest with there's actually another high-low break and retest that happened right here. Price broke past this lower low, retested. So this is what I mean, guys. There's a lot of entries which come up. And the problem is if you're looking at too many things, you're going to miss out on a lot of the entries here. So this is a high-low break and retest, which came up right there. And there was an MPS V2, which happened right here, or MPS, regular MPS, not a V2, but MPS. Uh, and then also an MPS V2 as well. Sell signal, retracement, confirmation. And then it looks like Talanji here caught the MPS and it lined up with the MPS V2 right after. Let's see, question from Peter. Peter's asking, how do you navigate which strategy to use? So I have a playbook that I typically follow. I usually just pick two of the strategy or basically one strategy for each market type, and then I stick to it. All of these strategies here, they're very similar. They just have different entry points. Like the momentum scalp, you enter off the momentum signal. Pivot scalp, you enter on the break and retest of pivots. High-low scalp, you enter off the break and close past structure. MPS is what we just been going over today. We had a sell signal here, which came up. Price retraced, came back down. MPS V2 is the same thing. It's just a continuation move. So for MPS, it's more of a pullback. And then for MPS V2, it's more of a continuation. So basically, price comes down, pulls back. That would be an MPS. On this confirmation of this red candle, this would be an MPS V2. So same strategy, it's just different entry. It's either you enter on the pullback or you enter on the continuation. The high-low break and retest is similar to the high-low scalp. It's just instead of getting in on the close, you're looking for the retest. And then market flow V2 is similar to the pivot scalp, except you're getting in at the pivot's whole number. Versus for the pivot scalp, you're looking for price to break and retest off the pivots. So you're looking for the continuation market flow. You're looking for the pullback. So you're looking for price to go down, pull back to the pivots, and then your entry actually happens at the pullback. So here, I'll bunch these together because these strategies are pretty much the same thing. So high-low scalp. So if you guys ever want to look at these specific strategies, these are how they're going to be bunched together for the most part. So if you guys go back and review the videos, this will kind of show you, like if you want to look for something specific, these are the strategies that will pretty much line up together. I mean, this is like three strategies basically, right? So these are the ones that line up with each other. The momentum scalp is basically initial, they kind of go in order here. Momentum scalp would happen on the momentum. The pivot scalp is for the retracement and retest of the pivots. And the market flow V2 is the retrace and entry at pivots at whole number. High-low scalp over here. So this over here actually lines up with the level strategy too. I think I might reorganize the strategy so that you guys can see which ones go along with each other. Because damn, look at this huge green candle. Trump's probably speaking right now. I'm sure Trump said something about his discussion with Zai. This thing spiked at about 70 points. Let's check breaking news. So no update yet. I'm pretty sure Trump did announce something though. Check financial juice. Yeah, no update, but I'm pretty sure something happened that caused this big spike to the upside. Yeah, Peter said, got it. Thank you. That's quite a bit to practice to be smooth and a lot to consider. Yeah, exactly. That's why for me, I just focus on one of them, Peter. I mean, even myself, these are my strategies, but I still focus on just one. Like for example, I focus on one directional strategy, which is the high-low break and retest. I'm looking to swap this out with the MPS V2, possibly, or MPS. Um, the sweep that we discussed earlier. So this is for a sideways market. The thing is, I should be focusing on sideways strategies right now, but I'm really not because I don't really like trading sideways strategies. Um, Yeah, for the most part, I just don't really like sideways strategies that much. It doesn't fit my trading style, but I do have a sideways strategy just in case for this type of sideways market. So the main two things that I really look at on a daily basis is one directional strategy, which is the high-low break and retest, because I like placing limit orders. And then for the breakout, I like taking the 2-minute momentum or now I'm taking the 5-minute, which is also limit order. So I mainly focus on these two strategies. But I do cover these two. So like the momentum breakout, I cover this every morning. And then the MPS V2 sometimes when it comes up. But personally, I don't like taking market orders because my entry is usually pretty bad due to slippage. So I've been taking, one of these. But if you want to bunch them up, like if you think you're comfortable taking three strategies or following three strategies, you can. I mean, I don't even feel comfortable applying three strategies, so I don't think it would be in your best interest unless unless you're able to really adapt with like whatever comes up. Because there's people in the group who apply multiple strategies, right? Like CJ is probably one person who he applies he applies a lot of strategies actually. CJ's not here right now, but CJ typically looks at I think CJ looks at about 4 or 5 strategies and CJ kills it. Like CJ actually knocks them out and knows exactly what to look for. So yeah, I would just stick to one, if not one, you stick to two, like one from each section. Right, so there's still nothing here right now. Let me see what we got over here. Yeah, Sam said, I agree with PC too. We all tr have tried and failed. LOL. Trust me, volume spread analysis is the only way maybe out. But this volume, it just keeps changing color and the data is not reliable. Yeah, I agree with you too, Sam. Yeah, PC said if I was to choose one indicator to use, it would be volume profile and can probably be just as profitable looking at the line chart with volume profile for reference. VWAP is good too. No other indicators matter. Yeah, for PC. I use the volume profile, but the same thing happens with volume profile. So where's my volume profile at? I had a chart here that just had volume profile. I think I might have taken it off, but here, I'll just use this one here. I've used volume profile too, but the problem with the volume profile is that it's the same thing. It yeah, fixed range, right? Or no, visual range. This is what I use too. So I have the same problem with this too. Let me go on the 1 minute. I like the tool, but the thing with this here, using this volume profile, is that it adjusts with price, right? Like with whatever how many candles I have on the chart. So for example, if I try to move this over, unless there's a way to get this fixed, see, like whenever I move this around, or I guess I could get it fixed if I just leave it like that. No, it still adjusts. So see how I move this over? The adjustment here, it's still kind of it adjusts with the price. Maybe it's just my settings, but it looks like now it's fixed. No, see, it's not. It just depends on how many candles are on the chart. Is this the one you're talking about, PC? Because I've used this before. I do like it personally, but I don't like that it adjusts. So for me personally, I like to use market profile versus volume profile because it's fixed on the chart, right? Like we have the value low right here. I used to use this for a while a lot actually. I still use it sometimes, but I don't really use it as much because I'm not like this would be good for sweeps. Like if you have a value low right there and then you have liquidity sitting at that area as well, this would be a good this would be a good tool to use for for sweeps and whatnot. See, I like this because this doesn't adjust. I can move it wherever it goes and the structure is still stuck there. The problem with the volume profile, which I like, but I don't like the fact that it adjusts with the price. Yeah, PC said he only uses session volume profile and refers to the previous sessions. So I'm assuming it's not this one then. Yeah, so I'm assuming you use session volume profile. See, the thing is, I try to use session volume profile, but nothing shows up on my chart. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. Oh, okay, I see. Post market only. Does this work now? Let's see. Yeah, I've tried to use this tool before, but I mean, I don't even know if this is the right tool that you're using. Yeah, I don't know. For whatever reason, it just didn't show up on mine. Oh, okay, I see where it is. It's because it's from the left. Okay. Well, now that we have this here, just know how to change it, huh? I'll place it right here on the right. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for the heads up on this PC. I'll probably take a look at this and see if we can use this to our advantage. I do like using volume profile though, for sure. Um, this could be really useful for sweeps. I'm just curious to see if this is let's see, market opened up at 6:30. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, guys. There's nothing for us to take here right now. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to eat a loss for this week. I only took one trade this week and it was only for a half hour. So I took one small loss for this week. It was today, basically. Yeah, one small loss, a half of a risk because I do a zero point 0.5 risk per trade. So it's very minimal today. Um Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was trying to get into something today, a second entry, but I just didn't have that opportunity to get into here. But I think I'm going to play around with this tool here that PC mentioned. Yeah, what I was trying to look at here. So I'm going to see if this here, because we did have liquidity sitting below. I'm just curious to see how price reacts to the why does it do that? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Because it looks good in hindsight, right? So like right now we have the volume up here, but if I go forward, I mean I guess my sweep would probably happen around like this area right here at the whole number, 45.50. I'm just curious to see if this sweep here would actually line up properly. No, I would have missed my sweep area there. Yeah, I'll probably play around with this at some point later. But yeah, guys, so let's just review my trades for this week. I only took one trade this week, which was this one over here. Unfortunately, it was a small loss. Back to like what Sam was mentioning earlier, we just got to stick to what we're doing. The market eventually is going to start moving directional. My main bread and butter is really the breakout. These continuation moves just haven't been coming up. Looking back at the market today, whatever trade I would have taken today would have been a loss regardless. So even if I took this one or if I didn't take this one and I decided to take the orb, I still would have taken a loss today regardless. The thing with my loss is that, and here's the key thing, and I'll put this here, like managing risk properly, or my risk management, or I guess this is like the past 6 months. So every trade, I'm only risking zero point 0.5 R, right? One full loss, I need two back-to-back losses. So I'm showing you guys what my risk management is right now because this is why like these losses don't really affect me because they're very small. It's they have to add up consistently. So for me to have one full loss, I need two back-to-back losses. For me to um blow my account, I need eight back-to-back losses. Right. So if you guys manage your risk properly, like for me, I know that the market's risky, so I've half my risk to basically zero point 0.5 RR. My loss for this week is only 0.5 R because I only took one trade, which is like a $500 loss per account. It's not that much. A full loss would be about 1,000. So unfortunately, this week I took a loss. I'm down like maybe I think 10,000 total on my account, so it's not a lot. But yeah, if you guys, the thing is, if the market's not moving in your favor, all you have to do really is adjust your risk, right? My risk for the past 6 months have been super, super low. So I haven't been making a lot of profit, but I also haven't been losing a lot because I know this market's been kind of choppy for the past couple months. Prior to this, I was actually doing a third of a risk. So right now, I have to have two back-to-back losses to have one full loss. In the past, I needed three back-to-back losses. So basically, my risk per losing trade equals loss. Cutoff, yeah. So that's basically my losing trade, right? 500 loss, my cutoff is 1,000 per day, max loss. Um, yeah, and that's kind of like how my risk management is set up. So I mean, just looking back at today in general, the market was just not good. So let's just go over the entries that came up. We had the momentum breakout, which hits full TP. This is one thing that I might be considering is taking both of the breakouts, right? Take the momentum breakout and then also take the orb. So that's one thing that I might be thinking about taking because the thing is like the directional moves after, they're just not there, right? So if you look at the market here after 7 o'clock, if we don't get our entry here between 6:30 and 7, we're pretty much screwed for the rest of the day because nothing happens. Price goes back and forth. So I think what I might do is I might just focus on both of the breakouts, take the initial breakout on open and then take the orb. Because if I get two wins there, that's technically four wins because they're half risk basically, and I'm doing a 1 to 2, so it'd basically be a 4R or not a 4, it'd be a 2R before wins in total. Versus what I was doing before is I was doing the orb and then I'd take a directional move after. The problem is the direction moves after it, they're just not coming up. So just something to keep in mind. Yeah, exactly. Sam said you get it back, you always do. It's just a matter of time until the market starts moving directional again. And then we'll have some win streaks to kind of offset a lot of the losses which happened this week. Or not, I took one loss this week, but this month in general. Let's see. PC said price in reference to VP volume profile is the most honest reading on order flow activity. Yeah, no, I agree. Volume profile is good. PC said, do you think the fair value gap within a momentum candle is valuable? Um, let me see your question. Do you think the fair value gap within? So are you saying like so are you saying if like a imbalance happens within the momentum candle? So I'm gonna try to look for an example here. Yeah, so this would be an example of it. So like this would be an imbalance that happened. There's a momentum signal right here, and the imbalance happened in between it, right? Yeah, I mean it's for the most part I do see it as like useful. That's one thing that I so before I even knew what imbalances were, I used to mark this up because what I would do is I would just mark up the momentum candle, right? I would just mark up the whole momentum candle and I'd look for price to come back and retest that. So yes, I do think it's relevant. I don't know how relevant or how important, but I used to mark up levels like that before. Because before I didn't even know what imbalances were. Once I understood what imbalances were, then I started actually marking them up. But you can see here, like this is another imbalance. What I used to do before I knew what imbalances were, I used to mark up the whole candle in general, like this. So it's very similar to an imbalance. It's just I just didn't know what an imbalance was back then, so I just marked it up as momentum because I would expect price to retrace back to that area, right? So yeah, I do think if the imbalance does happen within the momentum signal, I do think it's a stronger imbalance. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because I think now that you mentioned that, I might just mark up imbalances at those levels because it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so thanks for the question on that one, PC. So again, here's another example. Here's an imbalance that's within the let me just clean this up. I'm gonna take everything off the chart because the chart's messy. So this is what PC was asking. Basically, if there's an imbalance within a momentum signal, which is right here, this is actually a pretty strong imbalance, right? Because we have a momentum signal there, we have the imbalance. Price comes back and retests it, and then it comes back down further. So now that we kind of have this here, now I have an idea for sweeps. I think the sweeps here could possibly happen at the midline, or not even at the midline, but just using this as a confluence or confirmation. Okay, cool. So yeah, thanks PC for the heads up on that one. I'm gonna go back and kind of I'm gonna put all this information into like into uh into my brain basically and try to see what I can find here. Because yeah, looking at the imbalances here, they do reflect instead of marking up all these like there's so many imbalances that come up. I think those imbalances are actually more valid versus the smaller ones that kind of happened in between. We still have no update with the call with Zai. It's probably going to be updated maybe later today. I mean, Trump might still be speaking to him, or they might be thinking about what they're going to report, but we'll see. Yeah, Sam said your momentum breakout is magic, but not taking, but yeah, I know. The momentum breakout, it is, it's kind of it's like a unicorn strategy. It's not one of those things that the thing with the momentum breakout that I'm trying to figure out is a better risk to reward, right? Because I don't really like I mean, for me personally, after we've started taking these one to twos, I actually really like one to twos versus one to ones, even though the one to ones here do work perfectly fine. The problem is like, I don't like doing 50 to 100. I think 50 to 100 is it's a little too far out. Like, for example, here's the entry on Thursday. The entry on Thursday over here, I think it would have lost, but there's a lot of times where it gets really close and then it ends up, um, it ends up not getting to that full 100. So this was the entry from prior. Unless I can figure out a way to get into this momentum breakout with a better risk reward and then also get in with a pending order. I think that's going to be the key thing for me. But we'll see. All right, guys, I think that's it. Let me see if there's any questions here. So Brock mentioned, or let me just scroll up real quick. Sorry, guys, I missed out on a lot of these questions here. Hey, Ben. So Ben is asking, hi, Sean, have you made any changes to your positions with the swing trades? Let me check. I haven't even looked at it. No, so my swing trades or I did make adjustments yesterday. So yesterday with the Fed rate, or on Wednesday actually, I moved my limit order over here to 46,000 for the Dow. I don't know if you probably caught that yesterday when I mentioned it. I didn't make any adjustments after that though. So my swing trades over here, I have my pending limit order at 46,000 for YM. For NASDAQ over here, my pending order is still at 24,000. I'm just going to leave this here overnight or over the weekend. If it fills on Sunday, then okay, great, but I'm not going to be touching it. And then same here on the S&P. They're still at the same. So my S&P entry is at, or ES, it's at 6,600, 6,600. My NASDAQ is pending limit order at 24,000. And then my Dow YM over here is at 46,000. So basically what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for price to come down and reverse pretty heavily, fill my entry right here, and then correct back up. I'm gonna I'll reorganize this probably on Sunday. So once the market comes back, once the market comes back open on Sunday, I'll see if I'll make some more adjustments. I typically like to put it about 500 points away from open. So if the market here opens up at say where it's currently at, I would just leave it at 46,000. If the market opens up higher, then I'll probably move it up a little higher to 46,250. Let me scroll down further, see if there's anything else here that I missed. Yeah, so Brock over here said that he only trades volume, but he hates volume profile. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Um, yeah, so Brock actually uses a different tool to identify volume. He says he feels previous day HVA, LVA, point of control are more important than the developing volume print of the current day. Yeah, I agree with you too. That's why I don't really like using volume profile as much. I prefer to use TPO. Yeah, like what Brock uses. Time price opportunity. But the print, the extremes of the candle chart. So this is basically what Barack is seeing. He likes to use time price opportunity, which is what I like to use to market profile. He likes to look at the volume, but most of his parameters there where he looks for the rejections and entries are going to be around where like the volume profile is sitting, which makes sense. That's kind of what I look at as well. Gotcha. Yeah, so Brock gave a little bit of his he kind of explained what he was looking for with the market profile. For me, I like to use market profile as well. I do have market profile over here on the 30-minute marked up. It's a little fixed on the chart without the volume bars. If you do want the volume bars, you can turn them on, but for me, it's just a little messy, so I don't like to have them on there. I mean, it is useful though. If you do want to have them on your chart, and you can kind of see where all the volume is sitting. But then again, like the numbers here are kind of relevant because you already have well, I have the structure already marked out with the value high and the value low. It's always going to be high volatility around the value high, value low, and point of control. So Yeah, super useful. Yeah, and Barack said he also uses the order block as well. All right, Peter, we'll see you back here on Monday. Peter's done for the day. Sam as well. All right, Sam, have a good weekend. And yeah, if there's any other questions, guys, I mean, feel free to hop into the chat to ask away. For the most part, I'm done. I took a half loss for today, basically a half hour multiple loss, which is all right. I mean, it happens. Market here was such a mess that like there really wasn't much for us to take here. But yeah, this is kind of like what the market looked like for the day. If you guys are just joining in and you guys didn't see what happened today so far, we had the momentum breakout, which hit full TP here for 100 points. I'm gonna have to go back and probably try to revise this strategy to see if I can get in with a better risk to reward. I might have to just do a deep back test to see how it's been working for the past, I guess, year or so. It's been working really well for the past, basically for the past 6 months. The only problem with the momentum breakout is I don't like using a negative, a one-to-one or even a negative. Because the thing is, we do get a lot of slippage here on open. So we're never going to get perfect entry for the breakout, which sucks, right? I think what I might have to do is I might have to look for a way to get into the momentum breakout before market actually opens. I think that's going to be the key thing here. It's going to be looking for possibility to get in before so that we can get a limit order at exact price. Yeah, Barack, I agree with you. Um, I try to use the one on NinjaTrader, but it doesn't come up as accurate. I mean, it comes up, but it's like really hard to read on the platform. I've tried to set up TPO on Ninja, but it doesn't line up properly for me. I'll have to look into it again. Maybe my settings are just wrong, or maybe I have to find a better setup for it. But I'll probably look into it. For the most part, I think the trading view one is decent. It does it's not like super accurate, but it is decent. It's enough to like look at the structure. Because you can see how price here kind of respects the value high, value low. But the thing is, yeah, if you're looking at it in real time, it's not as accurate. So let's just go back over here to 630. That's why for me prior, what I used to do is I used to mark up the value low. Like I'd mark it up manually so that when it does adjust, we can see where it adjusts to. So I used to do this prior and mark up these levels here to just have an idea of like where everything was at so that when market would actually open, we would see if it would adjust because it really just adjusts every 30 minutes. So for example, over here, the value low and the value high didn't adjust, but the point of control looks like it's slightly adjusted a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. We used to use this as a confirmation for our entries for those confluences, but we'll see. All right, guys, I think that's it for the day. It's 8:20. We're actually way past our time for trading. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. Thanks for the input, everybody here. PC, Sam, Peter, Barack, everyone who helped with kind of looking for things here that we are looking for to improve our entries, right? Because the thing is, the market here is so choppy that we don't really have much of opportunities here to look at anyways to begin with. But yeah, I mean, we're going to keep pushing. Obviously, I'm going to be focusing mainly on my breakouts. I'm going to try to refine them a little more, specifically the momentum breakout, because the momentum breakout's been hitting a lot. I just need to figure out a way to find the proper risk parameters so that I can apply it with a 1 to 2. I might start another spreadsheet, and then I'll just start taking data on 1 to 2 risk to rewards with regard to TP stop loss. And if I find one that works well, then I might start to apply the momentum breakout with the orb. I'll just start taking them together. Yeah, Samir said it's confusing when you use the developing volume profile. Yeah, it's confusing to me too. That's why I don't like using it because it adjusts with price. That's why for me I don't like using it as much. I prefer to stick to the TPO instead. But everybody's different, right? Some people like using it, some people don't. I used to like using it just to identify where the volume was sitting, but for the most part, it is kind of messy. So, all right, guys, that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, I will see you guys back